कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, USP crisis 18 months in the making. Former Sevens player charged. And FICAC warns against lease scam.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
University of the South Pacific Pro-Chancellor Winston Thompson says the regional institution is in crisis. Thompson says there is a clear disconnect between the governing body, which is the USP Council, and the management of the university. However, he's also accepted the decision of the USP Special Counsel to terminate investigations against Vice-Chancellor Professor Paul Aluwalia. Lena Rees has more.
The USP Pro-Chancellor says the breakdown between the Council and Professor Aluwalia is a crisis 18 months in the making.
The management is not fulfilling its responsibilities to the governing body, and this is causing consequential strains.
A special council was set up to educate on allegations against Professor Aluwalia, but Thompson claims the Vice-Chancellor tried to use the same council to push through organizational changes without following processes.
The management has come up with a completely reorganized thing. It's been circulated. I had never seen it before. I had never been told that it was under construction. And so, for me, this is a blatant disregard of how it is supposed to be done.
USP Audit and Risk Committee Chair Mahmood Khan says any restructure of staffing and administration has to go through various checks and balances.
Once all the committees are satisfied, then they report to the council and say, yes, we agree or we don't agree. Then only it can go on to the council. Once these bodies have had a look at it, I belong to 2 bodies and I haven't seen it.
Thompson says another example of strained relations is the re-registration of the university with the Fiji Higher Education Commission without the knowledge of the council. Questions have been sent to the office of the USP Vice-Chancellor. Lena Rees, FBC News.
A former Sevens player and 2 others who were arrested for allegedly breaching quarantine guidelines at the Nassau resort appeared in the Nadi Magistrates Court today. The 3 who have been granted bail are former Fiji Sevens player Vatemo Ravovo, Mikaele Turanganisole and Vateresia Kenona. According to the summary of facts, a health inspector who was on shift on Thursday allegedly noticed Ravovo, seen here hiding his face under a jumper, and Turanganisole coming out of Kenona's room. The quarantine guidelines strictly state that consuming alcohol, kava or even socializing in other rooms is prohibited. The health inspector reported the matter to the supervising officer, who then informed police. The case will be called again on the 27th of next month for plea. Another land sale scam has surfaced in Nausori, where more Fijians have fallen victim, losing their hard-earned cash. The scam has been discovered in the River Road Informal Settlement in Narere and the Millennium Informal Settlement in Nausori. The Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption and Ministry of Housing say Fijians have been made to believe that they are receiving or securing land with accompanying approval letters bearing headers of the ministry. FICAC says these scammers act as agents or middlemen between the public and officials, purporting to be representing the Ministry of Housing. Meanwhile, the Itauke Land Trust Board has revealed that there have been attempts by individuals to sell Itauke land without following the proper process. A group has been facilitating the issuance of Itauke land leases under cover of TLTB documentation, and all 4 have been referred to FICAC. The Fijian Elections Office has referred a new set of irregularities against the National Federation Party to the Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption. Registrar of Political Parties Mohammed Saneem confirms these discrepancies in the financial disclosures also resulted in a breach of the Political Parties Act. Saneem adds some of these breaches in the 2018 audited account of the NFP constitute offences under the Act, and therefore the FEO has today referred the matter to FICAC. Prolonged exposure to a strenuous environment caused by the COVID-19 pandemic is having severe effects on the mental health of Fiji's workforce. With the issue said to become the next pandemic, employers are taking a proactive approach to train employees to become mental health champions in the workplace and communities. Pranita Prakash has more.
There has been a spike in the number of Fijians aged between 25 to 40 years seeking psychological and emotional support.
This is really our young people who should be driving the economy. These are our young people and people who are experts in the field and in their 40s who are knowing the job very well.
We go through this together and we try to help each other on whatever that we can.
Psychotherapist and trainer Seimoni Tuni says the training today is timely given the ongoing effects of COVID-19 and that people are afraid to reach out for help.
This is just building knowledge around stress and how stress can lead to chronic illnesses and mental health issues as well as suicide and self-harm. So early identification is very, very important.
Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation organized the one-day training for mental health champions for early detection in their respective organizations and communities. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Minister for Housing Pramila Kumar has dismissed claims from the public that a lottery system will be used to assign lots by the Housing Authority. This was repeatedly raised with the public inquiry team looking into possible irregularities within the authority. Kumar confirms there is no lottery system in place, but this may be considered in the future. The minister says the current investigation by the inquiry team will determine future operations and how lots will be allocated.
We hope that we'll be able to get enough information, and this information will then make us come up with sound policies that will curb corruption or create a fair, equitable system of how lots are allocated. One way of doing that can be a lottery. Not that we are using a lottery system. We are not.
Up ahead, Fijian peacekeepers praised. And local artist releases new song amid COVID-19.
Baik tu dia jadi mereka tahu रेडियो फिजी बहुत रेडियो फिजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Police officers who cannot meet service delivery standards do not have a place in the force. This was the statement by Acting Police Commissioner Rusiate Tunravu addressing 259 officers who have completed the basic recruits course at Nasova Academy in Suva. The officers were sternly reminded not to take their roles as police constables lightly. Vinina Rakautonga reports.
These new police constables have been reminded to not only enforce the law but to abide by it.
And if you don't abide by the rules, the door of Nasova is very wide open for you to exit this organization. There are other people waiting out there, number of youths, thousands, waiting for any opportunity.
Acting Police Commissioner Rusiate Tunravu says he expects quality service delivery from every man and woman.
This is now your chosen careers, and for long, as you are a serving member, remember that we are a family that must work together and strive to protect the honor of God's calling in our chosen path.
Most improved recruit constable Timothy Lutunaunga says he is continuing a family legacy as his father, uncles and cousins are all police officers.
There's a big difference I have learned from transitioning from a special constable to a regular officer. I know the responsibility I carry is very important, and I will carry it with humility, empathy and pride.
These 259 former special constables have now been absorbed into the regular force. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
There has been a major drop in the number of youths registered with the National Employment Centre in the past 9 months. This was revealed by Deputy Secretary for Employment Vilimoni Mbalen Rokanroka during the launch of a report which suggests that young people in the Asian Pacific region will be hit hardest by the economic impact of COVID-19.
According to the Ministry of Employment, there are fewer than 200 youths in their system.
Normally, when we look at our trend last financial year, we averages around 100 per month. But over the last 9 months, since January this year, the youth registration has actually dropped. Like over the last 9 months, the total was below 200.
Balendro Kanroka believes many youths have been able to find alternative ways of generating income during this difficult time.
Young people are getting into entrepreneurship activities, including farming, including agriculture, which is very encouraging, rather than just a reliance on formal sector jobs.
The Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation surveyed 271 members and found only 15% of workers are youths, calling for urgent redress.
We recommend that entrepreneurial education and training be introduced in the school systems. If it's working for the Americans, the Australians, and our bigger partners in the bigger world, why should it not work for us in Fiji?
The report, the ADB and ILO, says for Fiji, the youth unemployment rate may rise from 14.8% to near 30% and may even increase to 36.8% as the COVID-19 crisis gets drawn out. Apenisawa Gardobu, FBC News.
Fijian peacekeepers have pledged to offer their lives to defend the nation and serve in some of the world's toughest locations. Australian High Commissioner to Fiji, John Feeks, says Fijian peacekeepers have been doing this for years, knowing that military service remains the most honourable and noble of all callings. Feeks was speaking at the 30th anniversary of the RFMF Officers Training Centre in Suva, where many soldiers trained. Kelly Vadala reports.
The Australian government has recognised the vital role of the RFMF Officers Training Centre, which has moulded some of the best peacekeepers.
We remember your service as far back as World War I. We remember your service in World War II, when the Pacific and Australia's own shores were under threat. We remember your service in Malaya in defence of freedom there. But above all, we remember your service and sacrifice in peacekeeping missions far and wide.
Feeks says Australia will be supporting the RFMF to run the infantry captain's course from October to December at this centre.
Our support will cover the cost of running the course as well as upgrades to the facilities at the Force Training Group.
The centre has served as an operational hub for the military, especially during the pandemic.
In 2014, the crisis management team was stationed here during the hostage incident in Golan, and since 19 March this year, the COVID-19 planning team has been operating from this premises.
The centre has facilitated a total number of 59 military courses, 28 non-military courses.
Officers from Australia will attend courses at the Office Training Centre and Force Training Group once they complete mandatory quarantine. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Telecommunications company Vodafone Fiji says most Fijians adapted to changes brought about by COVID-19 without realising it. Chief Executive Ronald Prasad says many businesses underrated their capabilities but have managed to use new technology and achieve targets. Kritika Kumar has more.
Realigning operations to work remotely via online conferencing and communication tools like Zoom allowed many businesses to continue at the height of lockdowns.
A lot of people really did not think that it was going to be easy to adapt to the changes that will be brought about by COVID. But if you look at some of the things that have happened, we at Vodafone in the last, I think, 2 board meetings, we've had it completely on Zoom. And nobody ever thought that the meetings were going to happen so flawlessly.
Prasad says for many, the use of technology has been an eye-opener, providing that Fiji is second to none in innovation.
In terms of technology, in terms of innovation, in terms of resources that are required to run these operations, I don't think companies need to worry. It's all available here in Fiji.
Australian High Commissioner to Fiji, John Feeks, says businesses must reassess their long-term plans.
Fijian business people are known for their innovation and their resourcefulness, and I'm excited that Australia can play a small part in supporting their endeavours through exposure to new technologies and business practices.
It's widely accepted that many businesses may never return to what was considered normal before COVID-19, but have found a new landscape. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Despite the challenges faced by local artists due to COVID-19, singer Apakuki Nalawa has managed to launch his single today. Nalawa says the song Let Go is timely as it can help people get back on track post-COVID-19. Sainian Imboila has more.
The new single, Let Go, is about letting go of negativity, getting back together stronger than ever, settling with the new norm and achieving goals.
Things that have been happening around us, and loss of jobs, and people facing a lot of difficulties. So, yeah, the song is basically about believing in yourself and knowing that greater is the one within you.
Nalawa says it's also a way of helping him deal with depression and personal issues.
Basically, I had a sort of an unconventional journey through my teenage years, and music is something that is where I found my voice.
He's my only son, and I know that he's come through a lot personally. He's a person that would struggle and hide his own hurts. He would not share it because he believes that it's his own struggle and he'll fight through it.
He has gone in advance to exploit his talent, and we're so grateful that there's another opportunity that he can release his new album.
The song is now on radio and was released on YouTube earlier today. Sainian Imboila, FBC News.
Korean pop was considered underground music in Fiji, is increasingly becoming mainstream. The highlight of K-pop culture locally was yesterday's screening of a documentary about Bangtan Boys, considered the best K-pop group in the world. However, as Koroi Tandalala reports, it took a small group of fans to shake the very establishment of K-pop to ensure they'd get to see their idols on the big screen.
Bangtan Boys, or BTS, is the #1 K-pop group in the world with hundreds of millions of fans, and Fiji is no different.
Though it's a different language and everything, it's the art of music that gets everyone together.
Their songs talk about the injustice of society. They also talk about the pressures upon youth. They also talk about self-love, and that is what we need in this world.
Known as BTS Army Fiji, fans reached out to production studios, the official fans' social media accounts, and the BTS Twitter page, demanding that Fiji be included in the global premiere of documentary Breaking the Silence.
They were constantly asking if their mother could show this particular movie, Break the Silence, here in Fiji. And they have a really big following on social media.
These fans have found positive encouragement in BTS, trying to follow in the footsteps of their idols.
Taking part in the global UNICEF Giving Back Rice project.
With the books that we've received, will help each and every student enhance their learning.
We'll go to Lomeri Primary School and another primary school in Lotoka.
K-pop followers led by BTS Army Fiji plan to actively spread the message of self-love, peace and helping one another, united under the banner of music. Koroi Tandalala, FBC News.
Thanks, Jackie. In business tonight, Fiji Airways launches travel-ready video. And in growing Fiji, major rehabilitation along Waimanu Road. Stay with us.
Pula nadang ko aprosan ngarse, go erkraki. Do televizyon na parang na Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibit.
Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibit.
Fiji Airways has today launched a video highlighting its Travel Ready program. The video on the airline's website and social media channels highlights changes customers can expect in pre-departure, at the airport, at the lounge, on board and upon travel. The Travel Ready program details the airline's commitment to safeguarding the health and medical safety of customers and staff once border restrictions ease and international flights resume. Chief Executive Andre Filion says over the past 3 months, the Fiji Airways and Fiji Link teams have worked hard to become travel ready, addressing over 1,200 action items. U.S. stocks closed lower after a chopping trading session today as heavyweight tech-related stocks resumed their decline following a sharp rebound the previous season. This also elevated jobless claims, reminded investors of a still difficult recovery ahead. We now join Sanifa from HFC Bank with the latest from the money market.
The US dollar was down today, ending the week by giving up earlier gains. Investors had turned to the safe haven asset after U.S. markets saw yet another stock sell-off overnight. The number of Americans applying for initial unemployment benefits came in at a larger than forecast 884,000 last week, indicating that labor market recovery is stalling amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The euro rose to a one-week high against the US dollar, after European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde suggested the ECB was unlikely to undertake measures to weaken the euro despite its recent gains. The ECB is set to release its outlook later tonight, with investors also looking to the UK's GDP data as well as US inflation for further guidance over the global economic recovery from COVID-19. That's a wrap from HFC Bank for this week in Accra.
Looking at today's local exchange rates as set early this morning, the Fiji dollar rose against major trading partners Australia and New Zealand, as well as the PNG kina. However, there were declines against the Chinese yuan, the US dollar, the euro, and the Japanese yen. Commodities were up across the board. Crude oil prices dropped again, ending at $37.13 per barrel. Gold was up at $1,947 per ounce, and silver fell slightly to $26.81 an ounce. The Fiji Roads Authority has begun rehabilitation from Waimanu Road, from Borun Road to Tongaivalu Road in Suva. Night work will begin daily from 8:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. and day work will begin daily from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. All work will be sequential to avoid traffic during peak hours. The road will be reduced to a single lane and commuters are urged to factor in extra travel time if traveling through the area. Work is likely to be complete by next week. That's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Minako Whitney and good evening. In Sports Tonight, Flying Fijians confirmed for autumn tournaments. And Bamba Singh Alliance brace for giant killers. This and more are coming up.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
It's now official. The Flying Fijians will play in a landmark Autumn Nations Cup in November, as announced today by Six Nations Rugby. Fiji is in Pool B with France, Scotland and Italy, while Group A include England, Ireland, Wales and Georgia. The tournament will be held over 4 weekends between November 13th and December 6th. The Flying Fijians will start their campaign against France on 15th November before playing Italy on the 21st, then Scotland at Murrayfield on the 28th of November. The last match on finals weekend will be played on December 5th, with their opponents to be determined following results from pool play.
I think when we'll certainly announce a squad that will take part, but we still have restrictions in terms of flight and so forth, but we're working through that to make sure that we prepare well, be ready and be competitive. I know the initial discussions was for us to be in the pool of England, but now the pool has been confirmed with France, Italy and Scotland.
1997 Fiji Sevens Melrose Cup winning halfback Lemeki Koroi has passed away. Koroi was seen watching the Suva Namosi game last week at ANZ Stadium in Suva. Many fans, friends and former teammates of Koroi have taken to social media this morning expressing their shock and disbelief of the former rep's passing. Koroi will be best remembered for his 2 tries in the World Cup Sevens final in 1997 against South Africa in Hong Kong. Known for his bone-crunching tackles, the Serea man from Naitasiri was Flying Fijian number 434 after making his debut against Samoa on June 20th, 1992 in Suva. He played for both Naita Siri and Suva in provincial rugby before making his name on the local 7 scene for the then Prisons team before being called up by the late Rupeni Ravonu for the Melrose Cup campaign. The Narunga side knows that Suva will be out for revenge tomorrow after losing 13-15 during the first round of the Skipper Cup. The Stallions have also tagged themselves as the underdogs, saying that the defending champions are the favourites as they have been consistent. Felipe Naikaso has more.
The Narunga side will be out to minimize as much mistakes possible as they know Suva will come out firing at their home ground.
We've learned from a mistake last week. We can take that mistake the games against Suva because they're pretty good in the forwards and breakdown as well. So we need to work hard so we can match Suva.
They have also made 9 changes to the side that almost lost to Lotoka last weekend, as players like former Fiji Sevens captain Emosi Vudango, Rupeni Nasinga and Chonetani Rolulu start for the side.
It's going to be a good game, and as we know, when these two rugby giants in Fiji, when they play against each other, it's a different thing altogether.
Preparations in the camp have also stepped up as the side knows how crucial this matchup will be.
Yes, I think we have a player to match the bigger and better Suva team.
Suva host Narunga at the ANZ Stadium tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. and the match will be aired live and exclusive on FBC Sports. Felipe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
Lambasa is expected to come back stronger in its remaining Vodafone Premier League matches. Following the loss to Navua last week, the Mbamba Lions have regrouped before facing giant killers AMPS Industries in Asinu in Lambasa. Aquila has more.
Expect a fired-up Lambasa side on Sunday when it hosts Asinu at Subrail Park.
I think so. We have rectified whatever things happened, and with the help of the association, the president and the officials, we're going to come back stronger.
The side has come together over the last few days knowing the remaining 5 VPL rounds are vital.
We have talked to the players, and it was just normally the discipline part, and I think so we have talked on that, and there's a vast improvement in that. So hopefully we'll do well this weekend.
Lambasa's opponent Nasinu is also after a favorable result after losing to Rewa last week, but that's easier said than done.
It's always hard to play Lambasa at their home turf, and they have experienced players. They have the most number of national team players in the team. They have a good coach, so we just hope to go and play to our own style of game and deliver the goods to the northern people in Lambasa.
The Mbamba Alliance will host Nasinu on Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Aquila Dhama, FBC Sports.
Police Special Response Unit will be out to defend their title in the Police Inter-District Championship next week. The side were crowned winners last year after beating Western Division 2-1 in the final. The 3-day tournament will be held from the 16th to the 18th of September at the Nasoba grounds. National goalkeeper and captain Simeone Tamanisau says this will be a build-up for the Sukuna Bowl next month.
I guess I know all the team will be coming in prepared since all of them have been preparing for the last month. And as for us, we'll begin ours today. And yes, we hopeful that we'll be having a good ground to select players for the Sukuna Bowl this year.
Individual pieces of brilliance from West Tigers star Benji Marshall wasn't quite enough as they went down 26-24 to South Sydney Rabbitohs in the NRL Round 18 clash last night. That's it from sports tonight. In new media, Chinese firm Huawei to launch a rival to Google's Android operating system. Find out more after the break.
Hi, Bula. I'm Selai from Nandi. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hello to you and to Friday. It's a different flavor to the weather today. It's fast flowing with the heat. Now, clear skies after some time, the showers have died down. What an amazing start to the weekend, I suppose. Now moving on to the other centers. In the west, some clouds were around, but sunshine was full on. Eastwards from Peacekeeper to Suva, not a single drop of rain. Well, that looks like a good sign. And up north, a big improvement as the day wore on. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Now turning to the tides, high tide at 1:25 a.m. with low tide at 7:59 a.m. Sunrise at 6:04. For tomorrow, some early clouds in few places, but as the heat of the day bubbles up, all cloudiness will go away. Tomorrow's temps, Lambasa will be the warmest at 32 degrees. And looking further on to Sunday, morning clouds will brighten the day, but afternoon showers could sneak in. But don't worry, it's that hit or miss kind of showers. Well, that's all I have from this end. Enjoy your wonderful weekend. It's back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse, we asked, what do you think of Fiji's chances in the 8 Nations?
I think if they prepare well, they have a good chance of winning.
In my opinion, I believe they will do well, but they need to be prepared for the big teams.
It will entirely depend on them, especially their fitness.
This is one of the most important for Fiji to go and play this kind of level to improve their standard.
Recapping the main stories for tonight, former Sevens player charged with quarantine breach. USP crisis 18 months in the making. And FICAC warns of lease scam in squatter settlements. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question we're asking, should manufacturers caught breaching the single-use plastic bag ban be penalized? Visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day, final one for the week, and this comes from Addie. It's taken at the Singatoka Sand Dunes, showing the peaceful place it is for any local who wants some exercise, climbing the dunes and then enjoying the sights and sounds. Send us newsworthy pictures to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, from the team and I, have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Modamanda.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.